Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Teacher at Home. Today class we are going to learn the sixth chapter, Reproduction in Animals. Do you recall the process of digestion, circulation and respiration, which you have studied in the previous classes? This process essential for the survival of every individual. ജീവൻ നിലനിൽക്കണമെങ്കിൽ എല്ലാ പ്രോസസ്സും നമ്മുടെ ശരീരത്ത് നടന്നിരിക്കണം. We have learned about the process of reproduction in plants. Reproduction is essential for the continuation of the species. Imagine what would have happened if organism had not reproduced. You will realize that reproduction is very important as it ensures the continuation of similar kinds of individuals generation after generation. You already learned in your previous class about reproduction in plants. This chapter, we shall learn how reproduction takes place in animals. Modes of reproduction. Have you seen the young ones of different animals? Try to name some of the young ones. Okay, here human it is baby, cat, kitten, dog, puppy, butterfly, pupa, then a hen chick, cow, calf, frog, tadpole. You must have seen the young ones of various animals being born. അല്ലേ ഓരോ അനിമൽസിൻ്റെയും ചെറിയ കുട്ടികൾ നമ്മൾ കണ്ടതാണ്. Can you tell how chicks and caterpillars are born? How are kittens and puppies born? Do you think that these young ones look the same before they born as they do now? Similar ആയിട്ടുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റും. For example, frog, butterfly, maybe that is more of a similar. Just as in plants, there are two modes by which animals reproduce. They are sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction. Try to recall reproduction in plants, which you have studied in class 7. You will remember that plants that reproduce sexually have male and female reproductive parts. Can you name these parts? In animals also, the males and females have different reproductive parts of organs. Like plants, the reproductive parts in animals also produce gametes that fuse to form a zygote. It is the zygote which develop into a new individual. This type of reproduction, beginning from the fusion of male and female gamete, is called the sexual reproduction. That is the type of reproduction by the fusion of the male and female gamete. It is known as sexual reproduction. Let us find out the reproductive parts in humans and study the process of reproduction in them. Male reproductive organs. The male reproductive organs include a pair of testes, singular testes, two sperm ducts and penis. The testes produce the male gamete called sperms. So the male gamete produced by the testes, it is known as the sperms. Millions of sperms are produced by the testes. Shows the picture of a sperm. Here is a human sperm, that head, middle, piece and tail. Here is a sperm duct, penis, testis. Okay. Then which shows a picture. Those sperms are very small in size. Each has a head, middle piece and a tail. Does it appear to a single cell? Indeed. Each sperm has a single cell with all its usual cell components. Female reproductive organs. The female reproductive organs are a pair of ovaries, oviducts, that is fallopian tubes, and the uterus. Ovary produces female gametes called the ova or the eggs. Human beings, a single matured egg, it is released into the oviduct by one of the ovaries every month. Uterus is the part where development of the baby takes place. Like the sperm, an egg is also a single cell. Would you recall the size of the eggs in animals varies? Egg may be very small as in humans or big as in ostrich. Fertilization. The first step in the process of reproduction is the fusion of the sperm and the ova. When sperm comes in contact with the egg, one of the sperm may fuse with the egg. Such fusion is called the egg and the sperm. It is the fusion of the egg and sperm. It is known as the fertilization. During fertilization, the nuclei of the sperm and the egg fuse to form a single nucleus. This results in the formation of a fertilized egg, which is known as the zygote. Okay. Do you know that the zygote is the beginning of the new individual? Here what we can see, here is the nucleus, here it is the ovum and the sperm. then fusing nuclei, that is the zygote. The process of fertilization is the meeting of a young cell from the mother and the sperm cell from the father. So the new individual inherits some characteristics from the mother and some from the father. Look at your brother and sister. See if you can recognize some characters in them, similar to those of your father and your mother. Fertilization, which takes place inside the female body, it is called internal fertilization. Internal fertilization occurs in many animals, including humans, cows, dogs, and hens. Have you heard of test tube babies? Bojo and Paheli's teacher once told them in the class that in some women, ovid eggs are blocked. These women are unable to bear babies because sperms cannot reach the egg for fertilization. In such cases, doctors collect freshly released egg and sperm and keep them together for a few hours for IVF and or in vitro fertilization. Fertilization outside the body. In case fertilization occurs, the zygote is allowed to develop for over a week and it is placed in the mother's uterus. Complete development takes place in the uterus and the baby is born like any other baby. Babies born through this technique are called test tube babies. This term is actually misleading because babies cannot grow in test tubes. Okay, you will be surprised to know that in many animals, fertilization takes place outside the body of the female. In these animals, fertilization takes place in water. Let us find out how this happens. Activity 6.1. Visit some ponds of slow-flowing streams during spring or rainy season. Look out for clusters of frog eggs floating in water. Write down the color and size of the eggs. During spring or rainy season, frogs and toads move to ponds and slow-flowing streams. When the male and the female come together in water, the female lays hundreds of eggs. Unlike hen's egg, frog's egg, it is not covered by a shell and is comparatively very delicate. A layer of jelly holds the eggs together and provides protection to the eggs. As the eggs are laid, the male deposits sperms over them. Each sperm swims randomly in water with the help of the long tail. The sperms come in contact with the eggs. This results in fertilization. This type of fertilization in which the fusion of the male and the female gamete take place outside the body of the female is called external fertilization. It is very common in aquatic animals such as fish, starfish, etc. Though these animals lay hundreds of eggs and release millions of sperms, all the eggs do not get fertilized and develop into new individuals. This is because the eggs and sperms get exposed to water, movement, wind, and rainfall. Also, there are other animals in the pond which may feed on eggs. Thus, production of large number of eggs and sperms is necessary to ensure fertilization of at least a few of them. Embedding embryo, ovulation, ovary, zygote. Development of embryo. Fertilization results in the formation of zygote, which begins to develop into an embryo. Zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to a ball of cells. The cells then begin to form groups that develop into different tissues and organs of the body. Thus, developing structure it is termed an embryo. Embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. Embryo continues to develop in the uterus. It gradually develops body parts such as hand, leg, head, eye, ear, etc. Stage of the embryo in which all the body parts can be identified, it is called as a fetus. When the development of the fetus is complete, the mother gave birth to the baby. Internal fertilization takes place in hens also. But do hens give birth to babies like human beings and cows? You know that they do not. Then, how are chicks born? Let us find out. Soon after fertilization, the zygote divides repeatedly and travels down the oviduct. As it travels down, many protective layers are formed around it. Hard shell that you can see in the hen's egg is one such protective layer. After the hard shell is formed around the developing embryo, the hen finally lays the egg. Embryo takes about 3 weeks to develop into chick. You must have seen the hen sitting on the eggs to provide sufficient warmth. Do you know the development of the chick take place inside the eggshell during this period? After the chick is completely developed, it bursts open the eggshell. In animals which undergo external fertilization, development of the embryo take place outside the female body. Embryos continue to grow within their egg covering. After the embryos develop, the eggs hatch. You must have seen numerous tadpoles swimming in ponds and streams. Viviparous and oviparous animals. We have learned that some animals give birth to young ones, while some animals lay eggs which later develop into young ones. The animals which give birth to young ones are called viviparous animals. Those animals which lay eggs are called oviparous animals. The following activity will help you to understand better and differentiate between viviparous and oviparous animals. Try to observe eggs of the following organisms: frog, lizard, butterfly, or moth, hen, and crow, or any other bird. Where you are able to observe eggs of all of them, make drawings of the eggs that you have observed. Eggs of a few animals are easy to observe because their mothers lay them outside their bodies. These are examples of oviparous animals, that is, laying eggs outside the body. But you will not be able to collect the eggs of a dog, cow, or a cat. This is because they do not lay eggs. A mother gives birth to the young ones. These are examples of viviparous animals. Can you now give some more examples of viviparous and oviparous animals? Young ones to adults. New individuals which are born or hatched from the eggs continue to grow till they become adult. In some animals, the young ones may look very different from the adults. The life cycle of frog shown here. Observe the different stages of frog starting from the egg to the adult stage. We find that there are three distinct stages, that is, egg to tadpole, larva to adult. Don't the tadpoles look so different from the adults? Can you imagine that the tadpoles would someday become frogs? The tadpoles transform into adults capable of jumping and swimming. The transformation of the larva into an adult through drastic changes is called metamorphosis. What about the changes that we observe in a body as we grow? Do you think we too undergo metamorphosis? Human beings' body parts similar to those in adults are present from the time of birth. Asexual reproduction. So far, we have learned about reproduction in some familiar animals. But what about very small animals like hydra, a microscopic organism like amoeba? Do you know how they reproduce? Let us find out. See here, eggs, tadpole, late tadpole, adult frog. Get permanent slides of hydra. Observe them using hand lens or a microscope. Look out for the bulges from their parent body. Count the number of bulges that you see in different slides. Also note the size of the bulges. Draw the diagram of hydra as you see it. Compare it with the diagram. Budding in hydra. See here this side. Each hydra, there may be one or more bulges. These bulges are the developing new individuals and they are called buds. Recall the presence of buds in yeast. In hydra, to the new individuals develop as outgrowths from a single parent. This type of reproduction, in which only a single parent is involved, is called asexual reproduction. Since new individuals develop from the buds in Hydra, this type of asexual reproduction is called budding. Another method of asexual reproduction is observed in the microscopic organism amoeba. Let us see how this happens. We already learned about the structure of amoeba. We recall that amoeba is a single cell organism. It begins the process of reproduction by the division of its nucleus into two nuclei. This is followed by division of its body into two parts receiving a nucleus. Finally, two amoeba are produced from one parent amoeba. Dividing one cell dividing nucleus, daughter amoeba. This is followed by division of its body into two, each part receiving a nucleus. Finally, two amoeba are produced from one parent amoeba. This type of asexual reproduction, in which an animal reproduces by dividing into two individuals, is called binary fission. Apart from budding and binary fission, there are other methods by which a single parent reproduces young ones. We will study about this in your higher class. Story of Dolly the clone. Cloning is the production of an exact copy of a cell, any other living part, or a complete organism. Cloning of an animal was successfully performed for the first time by Van Wilmot and his colleagues at the Rosin Institute in Edinburgh, Scotland. They successfully cloned a sheep named Dolly. Dolly was born on 5th July 1996 and was the first mammal to be cloned. During the process of cloning, Dolly, a cell was collected from the mammary gland of a female fin Dorset sheep. Simultaneously, an egg was obtained from a Scottish blackface ewe. Nucleus was removed from the egg. Then the nucleus of a mammary gland cell from the fin Dorset sheep was inserted into the egg of the Scottish blackface ewe, whose nucleus had been removed. The egg thus produced was implanted into Scottish blackface ewe. Development of this egg followed normally and finally Dolly was born. Though Dolly was given birth to Scottish blackface ewe, it was found to be absolutely identical to the fin Dorset sheep from which the nucleus was taken. Since the nucleus from the egg of the Scottish blackface ewe was removed, Dolly did not show any character of the Scottish blackface ewe. Dolly was a healthy clone of the fin Dorset sheep and produced several offspring of her own through normal sexual means. Unfortunately, Dolly died on 14th February 2003 due to a certain lung disease. Since Dolly, several attempts have been made to reproduce cloned mammals. However, many die before birth or die soon after birth. The cloned animals are many a times found to be born with several abnormalities. Asexual reproduction, binary fission, budding, eggs, embryo, external fertilization, fetus, internal fertilization, metamorphosis, oviparous animals, sexual reproduction, sperms, viviparous animals, and zygote. These are the new words that have been introduced in this chapter. What you have learned? There are two modes by which animals reproduce. There is sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Reproduction resulting from the fusion of male and female gametes is called sexual reproduction. Reproductive organs in the female include ovaries, oviducts, and uterus. Reproductive organs in male include testes, sperm ducts, and penis. Ovary produces female gametes called ova. Testes produce male gamete called sperms. Fusion of ovum and sperm, it is called fertilization. Fertilized egg, zygote. Fertilization that takes place inside the female body is called internal fertilization. This is observed in human beings, other animals such as hen, cows, and dogs. Fertilization that takes place outside the female body is called external fertilization. This is observed in frogs, fish, starfish, etc. Zygote divides repeatedly to give rise to an embryo. Embryo gets embedded in the wall of the uterus for further development. Stages of the embryo in which all the body parts are identifiable is called fetus. Animals such as human beings, cows, and dogs gave birth to young ones are called viviparous animals. Animals such as hen, frog, lizard, butterfly, which lay eggs are called oviparous animals. Transformation of the larva into adult through drastic changes is called metamorphosis. Type of reproduction in which only a single parent is involved is called asexual reproduction. Hydra. New individuals develop from buds. This method of asexual reproduction it is called budding. Amoeba reproduces by dividing itself into two. This type of asexual reproduction is called binary fission. So that's all about this chapter. If you are interested, please do like, share and subscribe my channel. Okay, thank you.